Good evening. What's going on there, guys? This is the Earthmaster here on this Monday night, October 10th, 2022. It is 10/10/2022, about 8:03 p.m. California time, deja vu. 1.2 earthquake coming into the California region, the latest earthquake there on the map as we speak. This is the second update here of the night. Had a little issue with my microphone here just a minute ago, but I think we are okay now. All right, taking a look at the USGS map here of the all magnitudes, at least for the U.S. states and the territories. Shows quite a bit of increase in earthquake activity up here along the Aleutian Trench. Noticing a obvious earthquake uptick here, including a 4.7 here in the Unalaska area. Down into the Aleutian Trench at about 47 kilometers there for that 4.7. And some noticeable increase in activity here up into the Gulf of Alaska as well, and also Canada region getting in on some activity as well. We did see that 4.1 in the British Columbia area of Canada. That one kicking up much earlier this morning time frame, overnight actually. But definitely noticing a major increase in earthquake activity up here along this northeastern region of the Pacific Plate. It's been a while since I've said that. Most of the time it's Western Pacific or the southwestern portion of the Pacific Plate. But things kind of ramping up here along the northeastern area of the Pacific Plate. What do we got for earthquake activity out here in Washington? A couple scattered earthquakes there around the Washington area. Not a whole lot of new movement throughout Northern California. And most of the activity has been earlier this morning time frame. Looks like we did see a 1.8 in the Mammoth Lakes area within the last hour. And one earthquake outside of Redding here near the Bella Vista area, 1.5 at 12 kilometers deep. That one occurring just over an hour ago. One movement, at least one earthquake here along the Calaveras Fault Zone. This area is very capable of producing a pretty good sized earthquake. Goes through some pretty populated regions as well. But for now, a 2.1. No major swarms to take note of there. There's activity around the Long Valley supervolcano. It is outside of the caldera, southwestern portion of it. Only a little bit of movement right now, including that 2.3. No major swarms, though, to take note of in that area. And as we go down south, things really get pretty skimpy. As you can see, only a handful of earthquakes here along the southern portion of the state, including a 0.6 near the Warner Springs area. But man, awfully quiet here in the southern portion of the state as we speak. Yellowstone National Park, only a handful of quakes there listed on the map. If we go over here to the Yellowstone overview, deja vu once again. Oh, goodness. Activity confined to the northwest corner of the park. Most of it there around the Maple Creek area. It looks like there's some type of wind event, some type of environmental noise interfering there with the seismograph stations, which is very typical around the Yellowstone area. That's not magma movement. This is more or less like wind. Pretty good wind event up there, it looks like, at Yellowstone, kind of covering up some of the smaller earthquakes there. And again, these are just very small microquakes at Yellowstone National Park. If these were bigger earthquakes, we would notice them across the entire region. But for now, things very quiet as far as larger earthquake activity goes at Yellowstone National Park. Let's see, Western Texas, Oklahoma, a little scattered activity up there. Here in Kansas, and I've said it within the last 10 minutes or so that I love Kansas, and actually gave Kansas a beautiful message because I love the Kansas area as far as its beauty goes and its people. Very nice people up there, and it's on my list as far as the top state for relocation here. So one of these days, you're going to be hearing me say, it's 8:07 Central Time here in Kansas. Well, technically, it would be 10:07 Kansas time. So I love Kansas. I'm not even joking. I love the environment out there. So we'll move on. 2.1. near the what is that, Marion, Kansas area. Looks like it's out there just off of this Highway 77 there. A couple of creek beds running through there. I don't believe there is any type of oil pumping operations out there. There's a farmhouse. It looks like a couple other communities out there, and there's that creek or some type of lake situated out there. Far as the hazard goes, the 1.7, let's see where to go. Not for certain why it's not working. Okay, there it is. Just a little bit of lighter color. There is a little bit of U.S. hazard here throughout Kansas. Notice the wider colors out here, but nothing major. So just a little earthquake out there as we speak in Kansas. Beautiful state of Kansas, man. One of these days, it's getting closer and closer as we speak. Out here in Mexico, the Mexico Basin, a 4.5 kicked off earlier this morning time frame. Tell you what, it's been a long time since we've seen any earthquake activity ramping up out there in the basin of the Gulf of Mexico. I can't remember the last time. In fact, looking at the historical data since about 1900 shows that this is the only 4.5 out here, specifically within this region. Now, looking over here further to the west, southwest, yes, there's been at least a 4.5 and maybe a 5.0 to 6.0 here off the coast of Mexico in the Gulf, but very, it's not very common that we see earthquake activity out there in the area of the Gulf of Mexico in this location. Some movement outside of Puerto Rico, also into the Atlantic Ocean. We're getting things kind of fired up back out here into the Charlie Gibbs fracture zone. It's kind of kicking back up. This area has seen quite a bit of swarming kicking up here with no major rhyme or reason out there. It's just a divergent boundary in the North Atlantic Ocean. A couple earthquakes out there into the Afghanistan area, 5.1 and also a 4.0. That 5.1 is within Afghanistan. Notice the border right here, very close. A couple earthquakes out here around Taiwan as well. Looks like 5.7 occurring earlier, late afternoon time frame. It looks like quite a bit of movement also throughout the Indonesia, Solomon Islands, and down through the Tonga area. The big island of Hawaii, things a little minimal today. Only 14 earthquakes listed up here on the map. That's not that big of a deal. Things very calm and quiet up there. Got one earthquake though outside of the big island. The big island looks like a 2.8 up here around the Channel area. It's been a little while since we've seen some movement listed up there. All right, let's go ahead and check out Tremor activity tonight. I need to double check, make sure we okay, we hit the record button. Wanted to make sure I didn't make a second mistake of the evening. That would be pretty drastic. I mean, last update, there was no microphone, no audio, so here we are a second time. All right, what do you guys see here? Pretty good increase in tremor, folks. We're looking at 620 epicenters of tremor along the Cascadia Subduction Zone, mostly confined here underneath Salem, Corvallis, looks like the Albany area. This is the pretty much a central portion of the Cascadia Subduction Zone, and it's been hammered here with a lot of tremor recently over the past week or so, past couple weeks I should say. Just got a notification for 3.8 around the Puerto Rico area right now, but I'm watching this area pretty closely here, folks. A lot of tremor taking place, and it's within this time frame here of very close intervals of tremor. And I think as these tremors get closer and closer together as far as the intervals go, I'm thinking that's possible. We could see something pop off here on the Cascadia. That's just kind of a theory that I have running through my head, because it's been a while since we've seen these regular intervals become this close together, and we still haven't got any type of report from the folks that run this office here, from the Tremor department, the PNSN folks. So I think I will do this first thing tomorrow morning, is message these folks and find out what they think about these intervals becoming closer and closer together. Most of the time they cover just activity here around Vancouver Island and the Washington area. But man, cannot forget about what's going on here along the rest of the Cascadia. This Cascadia covers a large area of land as far as damaging potential goes here in the future. Northern California northward, all the way up through Oregon and Washington, along the Vancouver Island areas. So Washington is just a minor speck of interest when it comes to the Cascadia. So I think those guys should cover a little bit more than what they've been covering. So I'll email those guys tomorrow, find out what's going on, because we got a lot of tremor kicking up, folks. That's a lot over the last, this is just the last 24 hours. All right, let's see what else we got here for earthquake activity. Let me bring back the USGS map here. And there's that earthquake over here around Puerto Rico. I was just telling you about, 3.8. Just outside of the British Virgin Islands area, 35 kilometers deep. Not a whole lot going on around the Puerto Rico Trench currently. All right, let's see what we got for solar weather activity. This just feels like an extra long update, because technically it is. I was almost done with my last update, and about 20 minutes in, I realized the microphone was on mute. And I could have swore I hit the button as far as it becoming live, but maybe not. Maybe not. All right, solar weather activity. Did see an M flare movement earlier this afternoon time frame. Looks like an M2.4. Since then, things have kind of been crackling and popping with C flare activity, but no major solar flare activity kicking off. In fact, things are in the green as far as everything goes with the sunspots, which is a shame, because it had potential for quite a while as far as 3112 goes, but things are just not set up. It's almost like a thunderstorm, so to speak. Thunderstorms rotate, right? You get a rotating thunderstorm, and there's always potential of it producing a tornado if the conditions are right, as far as the Cape goes and far as the lower level winds go. You got to have the right conditions to produce a tornado. So similar to this, you got to have the right conditions to produce an X flare. And I think that these very close sunspots that were up north and near 3112 played a major dynamic in lowering the potential for an X flare. And that's kind of what we're looking at. It's a massive sunspot, but the X flare potential was just squashed due to its neighbor. And sometimes neighbors are not good. You know, I don't mind neighbors, but sometimes you get those neighbors that just kind of interfere with stuff. And that's kind of what happened here with 3112. And it's just unfortunate that we didn't see a potential large X flare from that area. So better luck next time, hopefully. Sometimes company is not a good thing. Let's see what we got here. We do have... Which one is that? Stand by for here a second here. This one's kind of growing. It is earth facing, and I'm not for certain which sunspot that is. It looks like it's 3119 here. Look how massive 3112 is and 3116. But 3116 need to give you the boot. 3116 should have never been involved, and I think we would have seen a very large X flare being produced from 3112. But this guy, it interrupted. It caused a nothing to happen, so to speak. 3119. We'll watch this very closely. Far as the rest of the sun goes, things kind of entering into a quiet period. Notice out here along the eastern portion of the sun, there's not a whole lot of sunspot development. And so we could be entering into a quiet spell of solar activity. There's no major coronal holes facing us either, so things are green across the board. Only a looks like 90% chance of a C flare, 45% chance of an M flare. X flare has been lowered and squashed to a 5% chance, so not looking good. All right, guys, we're gonna jump off here and get a little bit of rest tonight. I think a couple areas definitely to watch as far as seismic activity goes. We've been seeing, again, a little bit of increased earthquake activity here around the Indonesia Islands area. And also a little crunch out here around the Caribbean plate, around Puerto Rico. South America been swarming as well. So things calm. No major movement, but there's still obviously continual earthquake activity around the globe. Plate tectonics is a thing that happens continuously. And there's periods of quietness and intense activity. But right now we're kind of entering into a little quiet period. So we'll watch this very closely and see what takes off. Till then, we'll take care, folks. We'll catch you guys a little bit later on sometime tomorrow. Have a good one, folks. Peace out.